The confrontation exploded the day we said goodbye to Rita. I'd spent the morning at her memorial service, holding her granddaughter's hand as we shared stories about the remarkable woman who'd been my patient for 3 years. By the time I got home, my eyes were swollen from crying, my black dress wrinkled from all the hugs I'd received from Rita's grateful family members. I wasn't prepared for what I found in our family room. Lena, my brother Matt's fiancée, sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by scattered photographs and open albums. Our family's memories lay strewn around her like confetti, some face down on the carpet, others stacked in messy piles. My heart stopped when I saw what she was doing. "What are you doing with those?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The sight of her casually handling my childhood memories made my skin crawl. She looked up, her perfectly manicured hands clutching my favorite photo, the one of Dad teaching me to ride a bike in our old driveway. "Oh, Emma. Perfect timing. I'm just organizing these old albums." Some of these spaces were empty, so I added some lovely pictures of Matt and me. "Don't you think it looks more current?" My chest tightened as I moved closer. Several of my childhood photos had been removed, replaced with recent shots of her and my brother at various restaurants and parties. Pictures I'd cherished, my first day of nursing school, Mom and me baking Christmas cookies, my high school graduation, were nowhere to be seen. "Those spaces weren't empty," I said, my voice trembling with barely contained rage. "Where are my original photos, Lena?" "Oh, please," she scoffed, her sweet facade cracking like cheap makeup. "You're never even here anymore. You're always with those old people at work. This family doesn't need your ancient pictures taking up space. We need to make room for new memories, happy ones." I heard the front door open and Matt's footsteps in the hallway. He walked in, still in his suit from work, his tie loosened like he'd had a long day at the office. He immediately sensed the tension, his eyes darting between us. "What's going on here?" he asked, setting down his briefcase. "Your sister is being dramatic again," Lena said, her voice rising to that familiar pitch that always preceded tears. "I'm just trying to update our family albums, make them more relevant to our future, and she's acting like I committed some horrible crime." "Emma," Matt sighed, running a hand through his hair, "can we not make this into a big deal? Lena's going to be family soon. She's just trying to feel included." That word family hit me like a slap. "Family doesn't erase each other's memories," I said, picking up a discarded photo of my 8th birthday party that had been tossed aside like trash. "And family certainly doesn't sneak into someone's house while they're at a memorial service to destroy their childhood photos. Where are they, Lena? Where are the rest of my pictures? You want your precious pictures?" Lena suddenly stood up, her designer dress rustling. "They're right here." She yanked open her oversized purse, pulling out a stack of photos and throwing them across the room. They scattered like leaves, memories of my life floating to the floor. "Mom! Dad!" Lena's voice carried through the house, the practiced wail of someone used to being the victim. "Come quick." My parents rushed in from the kitchen, Mom still wearing her gardening gloves, Dad with his reading glasses perched on his head. Their eyes widened at the scene before them. Photos everywhere, Lena's mascara starting to run, and me standing there in my funeral dress, shaking with anger. "Emma's being horrible to me again," Lena sobbed, collapsing onto our couch. "I was just trying to help organize family photos for the wedding slideshow, and she came home and started screaming at me." "That's not what happened," I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "I came home from Rita's memorial service to find her removing my childhood photos from our family albums without permission. She's replacing them with pictures of herself." "Because you're never here." Lena shot back, her mask slipping again. "You're always working, always with your precious patients. Missing family dinners, showing up late to birthday parties, constantly talking about your job like it's so important. You're just a glorified babysitter." The room went silent. Even Matt looked uncomfortable. "A glorified babysitter?" I repeated, feeling something snap inside me. "Okay, Lena. Let's talk about what's really going on here." Let's talk about how you've been slowly trying to push me out of this family since day one. How you schedule family events during my work shifts and then play victim when I can't attend. How you mock my career choices in our family group chat. Emma, Matt started, but I cut him off. No, Matt. I'm not finished. Let's talk about how Lena's been coming into our house without permission. How she's been trying to copy my appearance, down to dyeing her hair the same color as mine last month. Or should we discuss the inappropriate comments she makes about Mom's weight, or how she pressures Mom into unwanted hugs? Mom's head snapped up at that last part. Dad's expression darkened. That's ridiculous. Lena wailed, but her eyes showed panic now. Matthew, are you going to let her talk to me like this? Is it true? Dad's voice was quiet but firm. About coming into the house without permission? I just wanted to surprise everyone with a nice photo display for the wedding, Lena stammered. Matthew said it was okay. I never said that, Matt muttered, not meeting anyone's eyes. And the comments about your mother? Dad continued, his jaw tightening. The unauthorized entry into our home? The disparaging remarks about your sister's career. Lena's face transformed, her features hardening into something ugly and unfamiliar. Fine. You want the truth? I'm sick of hearing about Saint Emma and her noble calling. Every family dinner turns into a story about her precious patients. Oh, Emma helped Mr. Johnson celebrate his last Christmas. Emma stayed late to hold Mrs. Wilson's hand. It's pathetic. Dad took a step forward. The only thing pathetic here is your behavior, young lady. The wedding is in 3 weeks, Lena continued, her voice rising hysterically. But instead of helping with preparations, Emma's running off to scatter some old lady's ashes because she made a deathbed promise. A promise to a client, Dad. Not even real family. Rita trusted me to fulfill her final wish, I said quietly. She specifically asked for me to She was just another rich old woman paying for attention. Lena screamed. And you're just another employee who got manipulated by a guilt trip and a fancy ring. Mom gasped. Ring? What ring? I touched the antique sapphire ring on my right hand, Rita's final gift. Rita gave this to me the day before she passed. It's been in her family for generations. She said. My voice caught. She said I'd been more like a granddaughter to her than anyone else. A family heirloom? Lena's laugh was bitter. Of course. Perfect Emma gets everything. The family's respect, a fancy nursing degree, and now some dead woman's jewelry. While I'm just the outsider trying to make everyone happy. Dad's voice cut through the room like steel. That's enough. Matthew, I think it's time you and Lena left. Dad, Matt started weakly, maybe we can all just calm down and… No. Dad's tone left no room for argument. I've heard enough. The wedding is postponed until further notice. What? Lena shrieked. You can't do that. The venues are booked, the invitations are sent. Watch me. Dad pulled out his phone. And I'm calling our lawyer first thing tomorrow morning. I want those house keys returned immediately. As Lena stormed out, shoving past me, Matt lingered in the doorway. He looked lost, like the little brother I used to protect from schoolyard bullies. Emma, I didn't know she was doing all this. I swear. That's because you didn't want to know, I replied softly. And that might be worse. Looking back now, I should have seen the signs from the very beginning. The first time Matt brought Lena home for Sunday dinner, I was just coming off a 24-hour shift at Sunset Grove, the high-end assisted living facility where I work as a senior care nurse. So, Emma, Lena had said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, Matt tells me you work at a nursing home? Sunset Grove is a specialized care facility, I corrected her gently. I'm part of their advanced nursing team. We provide comprehensive medical care and… Oh, how sweet! Lena interrupted, touching Matt's arm. Honey, remember my aunt's friend who does that? The one who changes bedpans for a living. Mom had frowned at that, but Matt just laughed uncomfortably. It became a pattern. Every time my work came up, Lena would find ways to diminish it. The truth is, my position at Sunset Grove is highly sought after. I have my RN license, specialized certifications in geriatric care, and additional training in end-of-life support. The families who trust us with their loved ones are often prominent figures: judges, CEOs, retired politicians. Rita's family had specifically requested me as her primary nurse after seeing how I handled their grandfather's care the year before. But to Lena, it was always playing nurse with rich old people, or professional hand-holding. Things got worse after Rita chose me to be her primary caregiver. The job required intense dedication, complex medical procedures, emotional support, and sometimes working multiple shifts when needed. The pay was excellent, reflecting the level of expertise required, but that only seemed to make Lena more resentful. "Another missed family dinner," she would post in our family group chat whenever I had to work late. I guess some people prefer their paying family to their real one. What she never mentioned was how she deliberately scheduled these family dinners during my known shift hours. Or how she'd wait until I confirmed I couldn't make it before telling everyone else the time and place. Mom later told me she had tried to suggest different times, but Lena would tear up and say things like, "Oh, I just wanted everyone together. I guess I'll never be good enough for this family." The manipulation was subtle but constant. When I'd share stories about my patients, like helping Mr. Chen reconnect with his estranged daughter or organizing a surprise 70th anniversary celebration for the Andersons, Lena would suddenly burst into tears about some minor wedding planning crisis. "I'm sorry to interrupt," she'd say, not looking sorry at all. "But while Emma's been busy with her elderly friends, I've been trying to handle everything alone. Matthew, the florist, called again about the deposit." It wasn't just about work, though. Lena's behavior at home became increasingly disturbing. Mom confided in me one afternoon while we were doing laundry, her voice barely above a whisper despite being alone in the house. "She keeps hugging me," Mom said, folding one of Dad's shirts with trembling hands. "I've told her I'm not comfortable with physical contact, especially after my surgery, but she does it anyway. Yesterday, she grabbed me from behind while I was cooking. I nearly dropped a hot pan." "Has Matt said anything?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "He just says she's affectionate, and that I need to get used to having a daughter who shows love." Mom's voice cracked. "As if I don't already have a daughter who shows love in ways that respect my boundaries." The copying started subtly. First, it was little things, buying the same brand of coffee I drink, using similar phrases in conversation. Then she started showing up in outfits nearly identical to ones I'd worn the week before. The final straw was when she walked into Sunday dinner with her naturally dark hair dyed the same shade of auburn as mine. "Oh my God," she'd gasped with obviously fake surprise. "Emma, we're twins." "Matthew, why didn't you tell me your sister and I would match?" Matt, absorbed in his phone, had just mumbled something non-committal. He'd been doing that more and more lately, retreating into his device, working later hours, finding excuses to be anywhere but home. When he was around, his once bright eyes seemed dull, and he'd lost the easy laugh I remembered from our childhood. Then came the house key incident. I stopped by one afternoon to pick up some tax documents Dad needed, only to find Lena in our family room, organizing the bookshelf. "Oh!" She jumped when I walked in. Matthew asked me to look for something." "How did you get in?" I asked, noting how she was focused on the shelf where we kept important family documents. "Oh, I had a key made," she said casually. "For emergencies." Matthew said it was fine. Later, when I asked Matt about it, he looked confused. "I never said that. She told me your mom gave her permission." Mom, of course, had done no such thing. The situation with Rita brought everything to a head. She had been declining rapidly, and her family asked me to take on extra shifts during her final weeks. Despite being exhausted, those moments with her became precious to me. Rita was more than a patient. She was a mentor, sharing wisdom gained from 92 years of life. One evening, just days before she passed, she called me to her bedside. "Emma, dear," she said, her voice weak but determined. "That ring on my dresser, the sapphire one. My grandmother gave it to me when I turned 21. I knew the ring. It was stunning. An antique sapphire surrounded by delicate diamonds, set in white gold. Rita's granddaughter had assumed she'd inherit it. I want you to have it," Rita continued, reaching for my hand. "You've shown me more genuine care and respect in 3 years than my own granddaughter has in 30. She only visits when she wants something. Rita, I couldn't possibly. You can and you will." Her grip tightened surprisingly strong. "And I have one more request. When I'm gone, I want you and my great-granddaughter Sarah to scatter my ashes at Lake Geneva. It's where I met my Henry." When Rita passed 2 days later, I was holding her hand. Her family respected her wishes about the ring and the ashes, though her granddaughter was clearly upset. The memorial service was scheduled, and the lake ceremony was planned for the following weekend. That's when Lena exploded. "You're going to miss our final wedding rehearsal for some dead woman's last wish?" she screamed during dinner. "The rehearsal we've had planned for months?" "The rehearsal you scheduled specifically for that weekend," I corrected quietly. After I'd already told everyone about the ceremony at the lake. It was the only time the venue had available. Lena protested, but her smirk told a different story. Matt stared at his plate. "Can't someone else scatter the ashes? It's just, dumping some ashes in a lake." The casual disrespect in his voice shocked me. This was her final request, Matt. She trusted me with this. "How can you? Because you're not family." Lena slammed her hand on the table. "You were her employee. She paid you to care. Just like all those other old people pay you to pretend to be their substitute daughter." The silence that followed her outburst was deafening. Even Matt looked stunned by the venom in her voice. "Paid me to care?" I repeated slowly, feeling an eerie calm settle over me. "Is that how you see human connection, Lena? As a transaction?" Dad set down his fork. "Young lady, I suggest you think very carefully about your next words." But Lena was too far gone, her carefully constructed facade crumbling completely. "Oh, please. Emma's been using these old people as substitutes for real relationships for years. While I've been here, trying to build actual family connections, she's been playing house with wealthy strangers." That's when my phone buzzed. It was a text from my cousin Jessica, with screenshots attached. "You need to see this," the message read. I opened the first image and felt my blood run cold. It was Lena's private Instagram story from 2 weeks ago. A photo of me at work, clearly taken without my knowledge, with the caption, "Future sister-in-law would rather wipe drool off rich people's faces than help with wedding planning. Some people just don't understand family values." There were more. Dozens more. Photos of me at family gatherings, at work, even through our front window, all with mocking captions about my career and character. She'd been documenting and ridiculing my life for months. "Dad," I said quietly, passing him my phone, "you should see this." As he scrolled through the images, his face darkened. Mom leaned over to look, her hand flying to her mouth in shock. "There's more," Jessica's next text read. "Check your messages." The video she sent showed Lena at a cafe last week, sitting intimately close to a man who definitely wasn't my brother. Her hand was on his arm, her head thrown back in laughter as she showed off her engagement ring, the ring Matt had spent months saving for. "Matthew," Dad's voice was dangerously quiet, "would you care to explain why your fiancé has been stalking and publicly mocking your sister while apparently meeting with other men?" After that dinner, everything unraveled quickly. My cousin Jessica sent me screenshots from Lena's private social media accounts that made my blood run cold. "Poor me," Lena had written. "Trying to plan my dream wedding while dealing with a jealous sister-in-law who'd rather spend time with dead people than her own family. At least my elderly patients pay for my attention, right, Emma?" There were dozens of posts like this, dating back months. She'd been painting herself as the victim of a cruel, neglectful family while simultaneously orchestrating every conflict. Dad discovered something even more disturbing. Several important family documents had been moved from their usual place in the study. When confronted, Lena claimed she was just organizing. But Dad noticed some papers about his retirement accounts had mysterious coffee stains that weren't there before. Mom finally broke down and told us the truth. Lena threatened to take Matthew away if I didn't play along, she sobbed. She said they'd move across the country, that we'd never see him again. I was trying to protect our family. Matt's reaction was the most heartbreaking. I knew something wasn't right, he admitted quietly. But I'd already announced the engagement. Everyone at work knew. The partners were planning to make me senior associate after the wedding. I thought I could fix her after we were married. The wedding went ahead, but Dad and I refused to attend. Mom went, putting on a brave face for Matthew's sake. She later told me that Lena had arranged empty chairs in the front row, marked with "reserved for family" signs, making sure they were prominently featured in all the photography. Matt's wedding speech was painful to watch in the video. He choked up several times, never once mentioning Dad or me, his hands visibly shaking as he exchanged rings with Lena. They moved to Boston a month later. Lena now controls all their social media accounts, their joint finances, even Matt's phone. Through a colleague at Massachusetts General, I learned he's been seeing a therapist, though Lena thinks he's working late at the office. I've kept every screenshot, every message, every piece of evidence. Our family lawyer suggested I maintain detailed records, warning that we might need them if things escalate further. As for me, I'm channeling my energy into something positive. At Rita's memorial, I announced the creation of the Rita Morrison Nursing Scholarship Fund. Every year, it will help one passionate young person pursue their dream of becoming a geriatric care nurse. Because despite what Lena thinks, this isn't just a job. It's about being there for people during their most vulnerable moments, about keeping promises, and about understanding that family isn't always defined by blood. Rita taught me that. And no one, not even Lena, can take away the truth of it.